Alright, Trial Mob, as per usual, we are hitting some of the weekly updates, some stuff that we've had brewing for a little bit that I wanted to make sure to catch up on, and some new stuff that we just literally found out about. So hopefully you guys can take a look, answer some of my questions that I have because I didn't have the answers for them, and then let's go ahead and get into it and break it down. Alright, let's get it. Alright, Trial Mob, so starting off today, we have Monster Hunter World coming to us on a 1/18 scale, and I am absolutely excited about this one. I've always liked Monster Hunter. I've actually played the game once or twice. The one that I really got into was Dauntless, just because it's a bit easier for me to play, but I've always liked the character designs, the monster designs, and just the overall aesthetic of Monster Hunter, so I'm happy to announce that they are going to bring them to us in a 1/18 scale, which also means that we can have more realistically sized monsters because the figures themselves are a bit smaller now. So let's go ahead and see what we got. So I am not familiar with Monster Hunter and I guess their naming structure or what this is right here, but this is one of the male hunters right here. He's got the fat ass sword on the left, and we know that that's what they come with in game. That's really tight. And then what looks to be a shield and sword on the right. So I don't know if this is how they would normally come put together, or maybe these are just some of the equipment options, since I know you can equip them with several different weapons. So that's obviously nice. But the overall aesthetic of the character looks very, very accurate to the source material. I'm really liking this. Now here we have one of the female hunters, and I do like the way she looks. Again, the aesthetic, this is very Monster Hunter accurate. As you can tell, she has two weapons on each side, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but is that big fucking mace in front of her, is that hers? Is she supposed to be holding that? What is that in the picture? If anyone can explain to me. Again, I don't know enough about Monster Hunter to tell you on my own, but if you know, please let me know. Now this guy right here is absolutely money. This guy looks super badass, and both of his weapons that he comes with on the right, I want to say that's a shield with an axe, or is it just an axe? And then on the left this is a sword. The aesthetic on this guy is absolutely incredible. Very, very nice looking, just sinister looking. I don't know, I guess there's not really bad guys, it's just all dependent on what you slay is what you can make your armor out of. So again, this guy looks really dope. I would definitely want to pick this guy up. Probably my favorite one. Alright, so maybe I lied. Maybe this guy's my favorite. I don't know. But this dude is also really badass. The red armor going all the way through. I feel like I've seen this before, potentially in either SH Figure Arts or was it Reveltech that was doing some of the 6-inch Monster Hunter stuff. But this looks really good, and the double blades that he comes with look absolutely badass. They're large though, and what I am going to say now is that now that we've seen all of them, obviously the swords and weapons they come with are really, really big. So I don't know, that's going to mean very hard to display, very hard to, you know, make them hold their weapons correctly. They're going to have very tight joints to hold all this gear up. And of course, the piece of resistance, the dragon himself, I forget what this is called, Rhinor. I remember seeing this recently. This is, I guess, one of the more titular monsters that you fight against. So we are getting him, and as you can tell, he's ginormous. 1/18 scale or not, that wingspan is absolutely incredible. And the detail that we see in him is also really badass. But I want to say that this is definitely a prototype because I'm not really seeing where the articulation is supposed to be, and I imagine that he will be getting a decent amount to be able to put him in a lot of poses, but I'm just not seeing where it's supposed to be. But detail wise, it's 100% there. I don't think anyone is going to be dissatisfied with the accuracy to the source material. Now, of course, Fresh Retro is coming out with some absolutely badass stuff, and I'll be buying this for sure. As you can tell, it's going to be a gigantic box per each and every single figure, which I'm not very happy about, but it does come with a lot to it, with, you know, the diorama and all that. So I imagine that's going to bring up the price, which, you know, is fine because you do get a lot for your money. You get the figure that's highly articulated, you get that base and the diorama set. It just kind of sucks when it's this big for a small character because, you know, you have to have the real estate for all that. Now, I guess the big guys won't be coming with a diorama set, or maybe they do, but it's a little smaller. I'm not really sure what's going on here because, as you can tell here, we get the larger figure in box with all his extra guns and pieces and stuff, but I'm not seeing the diorama, so I imagine maybe it's under. I mean, obviously these guys are really big, so it's going to be a big box, but as you can tell, even the small one comes with a big box, so I guess it's not a big issue. Now, this right here is what I really wanted to show you guys. Trauma, what I really like about figures is they might look cool in a diorama, they might look badass, they might look everything when they look like, a panel out of an anime, manga, or show, or comic, or graphic novel. But this is really what you want to be able to see. What do they look like on a table? Because this is most likely the same table that we all have at our house. What are these figures going to look like when they're just standing there with no diorama, no nothing? How do they look? I am pleased to say just as badass as in the dioramas. These look so cool, man. It's just so hard not to find a good angle, nice looking guns, overall great aesthetic. The build quality, we'll have to figure out how good they are once we have them in hand, but I imagine they'll be top notch. But I can go on and on about how phenomenal these look, even outside of the diorama. And then here we actually get to see a close-up of the magnets on the bottom of their feet. So that's going to be pretty nice. As you can tell, 1/18 scale, right? So these feet are a little bit bigger than normal. Other 1/18 scale stuff from what I can tell. But there are the magnets that are supposed to hold it in place. And yeah, I mean, that's fine. They look nice. Another little close-up of the big guy himself. I forget what this one is called. But again, it looks really dope. The gun itself looks honestly really badass. And then a close-up of the smaller one, and again, he also looks really cool. I love how the matching aesthetic is here. They obviously look like they're from the same team, the same color coordination, the same, faction, whatever faction that might be. I hope we do get extended lore moving forward, because I want to know more about these guys. So we have not seen a direct comparison for the height of these figures, so this is kind of the closest we're going to get right now. I don't know who that is on the left. I've never seen this before, so if anyone can tell me what that is, I'd appreciate it. But if you own that guy on the left, or if you've seen him before in person, you know how big that is. You basically have a good idea of how big the Fresh Retro stuff is going to be, which we already know is going to be probably bigger than the regular 1/18 scale stuff. So this is an overall good look, at least for me. I do like it. All right, Trial Mom, now switching over to Acid Rain World, we have the Soil Ghosts. Now, okay, I'm not going to lie. I know it's Soil something, if anybody wants to confirm with me, because so far Acid Rain hasn't said anything. But this is basically another faction, but this faction is supposed to be from the parts of the Acid Rain world that are basically uninhabitable, quote unquote. And so these guys are like nomads. Think, the Hills of Eyes, but militarily. So very scary. I imagine very scary guys in real life. Now, I have absolutely no interest in any of the Soil stuff. I've always thought that they're weird looking, that they're just, I don't know, the aesthetic isn't pleasing to me, and I wouldn't buy these. But if this is up your alley, if this is what you like, I can only imagine that this is an absolute must buy for you, including the fact that we get that pack animal in the back. It does look really nice. And, these figures look like, I want to say, like nothing that we've gotten before. This looks completely different. I mean, I think the only reason why I can immediately recognize that it's Acid Rain is because of that rustic look that they have, which is nice. But overall, this is a very, very different looking set that we're getting here from the Acid Rain world. Again, not my thing. I probably won't buy any of these unless they ever come out with like a standing, military or, more regular looking units. Not my aesthetic, but again, I still think this is something that a lot of you Acid Rain folks that are into this, you're going to want to buy this and add this. It does look really dope, I will admit. Now, Joytoy has launched basically tried licensing a video game that is I want to say it's like a zombie survival type game. I tried to find this post again to find the name of the actual game that they're licensing, but I couldn't find it. So if you guys could please put it in the comments, I would appreciate it. This is one of their figures that they're putting together. It's really nice to see that Joytoy is getting licensing for all kinds of stuff and making their figures. I hope that they're not all Chinese exclusives, but this is something that looks pretty dope. Now, I don't really buy any kind of zombie stuff, period. I don't really care to own that kind of stuff. I've never really cared to own that kind of stuff. But it is still a fairly cool aesthetic, and I imagine that if you're trying to do some kind of diorama with all your Resident Evil figures or your Resident Evil customs, as we have seen that some people do that, this is going to be a cool plus one to add to that. This guy basically has no armor whatsoever, so other than basically the sweater that he's wearing. But it's not even the fact that his armor, right? It's just that there's nothing really blocking him from getting full articulation out of his body. I do find it funny, however, how they kind of just pose him just kind of chilling there, just sitting there waiting like a normal person, like a normal human being, even though obviously that's not what he looks like, aesthetically speaking. So I think that's kind of funny. Again, not something for me, but I think for the people who are looking for this, again, must buy for you. Now switching over to Boss Fight Studios. You know what? I'm gonna hold my reservations on these. I do love this show, but here we have Diego from the Umbrella Academy, and I do like the way he comes overall. He comes equipped exactly how I visually remember him. He has all the knives, which is his thing, right? He can like manipulate metal. He's kind of this military guy. I like it. I like this character a lot, and I'm glad that we're getting some love from that kind of stuff on the 118 scale. Again, I wouldn't buy this. It's not my cup of tea. And the accuracy in the face is not the best. But you know what? For the price point and for the people that want this, I think that there's not much to complain about. Now, here we also have Klaus. And you know what? I know sometimes people get mad about this when I say this kind of stuff, but maybe I'm just so used to buying Acid Rain and Joytoy stuff that when I see stuff like this, that's not. I mean, I can tell this is Klaus, but that face is just atrocious. I don't know. But I think that if you're a fan of the show and you've been wanting something that's actually good, I think Boss Fight does make some pretty cool stuff with very good articulation. So you're going to be able to get a lot out of this for the probably fairly low price point. Now here we also have Cha Cha, and I will admit that this one right here, in terms of the actual face sculpt, looks a little bit more believable. I don't know if just maybe the clean aesthetic overall, or maybe she was just a little bit easier to capture her likeness here. It's still not perfect, but I think that this one, I think I like better. And for a custom, Men in Black type figure, this is perfect. This is exactly what you would want. Now, what's dope is that if you've watched the show, you know that there's a scene where they totally come into a warehouse with these World War II guns and absolutely blow everything up. And they're wearing these helmets, and she comes with it and the gun, which is pretty badass. I do like the fact that Boss Fight is doing different things to make you have the ability to recreate some of this. I'm hoping this isn't a separate figure. I'm hoping this is just all in one, so that you don't have to spend money on two of these. But I haven't seen anything more than these photos. And last but not least, we have Vanya, and oh my God, what a terrible looking figure. And like, what is wrong with her? I don't know if it's the face. I don't know if it's the hair. It looks like a dude. I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, but I would not buy this. I'm sorry. Maybe the other three I can get finessed into, but this one, I don't care about in the slightest. I'm not going to, put down anybody that wants this. Of course not. Buy what you want. If you like this, of course, if you're a completist like me, you'd probably end up buying it. But this is very unimpressive to me. But it does capture some of the likeness enough to say that, hey, if you did have it in a diorama and you weren't taking your photos, you can finesse it. So don't worry about what I say. It's just not something I would personally pick up. And that's just me.